What is Café Mocha? Café Mocha is experts, celebrities.
What's up? This is Bell Biv DeVoe.
Yours truly, Idris Elba.
This is Fantasia.
This is In Vogue.
This is India Ari.
So much more. All from a woman's perspective.
What flavor are you, baby?
This is Café Mocha.
Lonnie Love, yo, I'm Angelique, and this is Café Mocha, radio from a woman's perspective. But men can play too. We love y'all. Salt-N-Pepa are celebrating a big anniversary. Salt is here to talk about the group's rise to stardom. But first up, all right, Lonnie, what's on your mind?
You know, there's a lot happening, politically.
Do we have to talk about political stuff?
No, we're going to talk about something that is going to affect a lot of people.
Okay, go ahead.
And that is the real ID. A lot of people don't know that in May, the TSA is going to enforce if you want to travel domestically in the United States, that you have to have this real ID, which is either a driver's license or it's a ID that has like a certain star on it, and you have to go to the DMV for it.
Why?
And,
Why? I mean, the driver's license has been fine for all these years. Why all of a sudden we have to have a real ID?
Nancy can't use your ID anymore.
Yeah, you won't be able, you can use, in order to fly domestically, if you have a passport, you can use your passport, but a lot of people don't have passports. So I'm saying if you travel and you usually use some type of ID, government state ID or driver's license, it has to be real ID compliant.
Or you won't be able to fly.
You won't be able to travel domestically. So what you have to do, and this is May the 7th.
That's very soon.
Real ID compliant to board domestic flights and access certain federal facilities. Okay? So this is what they're saying. This is through Homeland Security. So what you have to do is go to the DMV, your local DMV, and some of the DMVs, they're having special sections and stuff like that because they know that everybody's going to be now applying and trying
doing it last minute, even though they've been telling us for years.
Yeah, and basically you have to have like a some type of mail with your address on it, and you have to also show it's like three things that you have to show. I did mine's like maybe 2 years ago to get a real ID. So you have to set up an appointment or go to the DMV. You have to show these certain documents like a payroll slip with your address that you're currently living in and everything. And then that way you'll get a whole new ID. It has this star on it and you'll be able to travel. If you don't, if you have a passport, you can use your passport. But I'm saying everybody don't have a passport. So make sure you have the real ID.
Okay, so what it says is proof of identity means date of birth, which I guess means birth certificate, social security number, and it says two proofs of your actual residence. And then the DMV office, you have to apply in person.
Yep, that's it. So you have to apply in person. This is something that it passed in 2005. And so now it was enacted in response to the 9/11 terrorist attacks to increase safety and make IDs harder to falsify.
That's bull.
That's the reason why they're doing
That's bull. I'm not getting one. And that's bull.
You ain't gonna be able to fly unless you use
I got a passport. Screw them. Okay. This is some nonsense. I already know it. All these years we've been using our driver's license. Our driver's licenses have all kinds of stamps. It's got a QR code. It's got all kinds of stuff that keeps it from being falsified. And now all of a sudden we need another ID. And
was that one time somebody took my ID and it wasn't me.
What happened?
They falsified these IDs that you go downtown, some cities, and they're remaking these IDs.
That's
so you
true.
have people traveling. You have somebody. I mean, my mom just got a whole Spectrum kit at her house. She said, I didn't order Spectrum. So you have a lot of people who are really coming to this country, falsifying other documents. So I guess this is their way of kind of like chowing down. I mean,
Bingo.
Rebel.
And I'm just going to tell the truth. It's really just to keep the people that aren't here legally from being able to fly from state to state to state, which U.S., they be driving. They ain't flying anyway. But what kills me about this is that of the proofs of identity, I don't see a driver's license anywhere. You can bring your birth certificate, you could bring your social security card, but it says nothing about unless valid permanent resident card. What's that?
It's
Is that a driver's
simple. All
license?
you do is bring the 2 pieces of paper, and then after that, you're real ID compliant. I'm just letting people know because I don't want May 7th to come and y'all get up there to that gate. And they turn y'all away, and y'all like you take.
It's a fight in the terminal. It's a fight in the terminal.
They trying to get down to the Disney resort down in Orlando, and they ain't got their daggone real ID. Y'all gonna be driving.
Exactly.
Nice
So make sure you have it. May the 7th. Make your appointment now for real ID. This is Café Mocha.
On the way, Salt from Salt-N-Pepa.
Standing in solidarity from a woman's perspective. It's Café Mocha.
It's Café Mocha, radio from a woman's perspective with Lonnie Love, Yo-Yo, Angelique. It's been 35 years since Salt-N-Pepa dropped the album that included one of their biggest songs, Let's Talk About Sex, Baby. Black's Magic came out 35 years ago. We're getting old. Welcome to Café Mocha, one half of Salt-N-Pepa. What's up, Salt?
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today?
Oh, it's always a pleasure when we're talking to you, Cheryl.
Yes.
I love when you say Cheryl.
Now, what do you think made this album such a great album?
Black's Magic. It was actually a pretty crucial time, because we had hits, but that consistency is very important. So I remember there being a little bit of pressure, but for me specifically, it was really when I started taking the creative reins from Herbie, me and Pep actually. So it was my first time actually been writing, but then started producing. And the best thing about that album for me is that it was the first Expression was the first song that I ever wrote and produced on my own, and it was platinum. So it gave me the feeling that, I could do this on my own. We were being liberated from Herbie, who was kind of like the Svengali of the group in the very beginning. Yeah, so my first song that I ever wrote and produced went platinum. That was major. And I didn't even really think about that until recently in my life. My manager started reminding me, girl, you produced and wrote a platinum single.
I mean, you guys set the barriers for women in hip hop. How do you think your music shaped the culture?
I always say we brought fun, fashion, and femininity to hip hop. At a time when there was so many varieties of sounds and women and images, and I think that was what Salt-N-Pepa's niche was. We were just fun, round-the-way girls that everybody could relate to. Then the fashion, the haircuts, and people going to the salons and saying, give me that Salt-N-Pepa. I think we had all of those things wrapped up.
They had a Lifetime movie that I was honored to be able to interview both Salt-N-Pepa for, and the Lifetime movie was such a success. Looking back on your career, Salt, did you ever think it would get to the point where there was a movie being made about you?
Yeah, no, definitely not. I always knew that it would be something great because I just had this feeling. I was fresh out of high school, my first year of college, when I met our producer, Herbie, who was also my boyfriend. And I just remember the first time I got on the mic, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I definitely did not belong in school because I barely graduated high school. I got out by the skin of my teeth, not because I wasn't smart. I'm just not wasn't a school person, So when I met him, I got on the microphone and I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. There's no plan B for me. It just made me feel like purposeful. It made me feel like it was what I was meant to do. So in my mind, I always knew it was going to be great. But 35, 40 years later, all of this hoopla is still going on about Salt-N-Pepa. I ain't really think that far. So yeah, I'm honored.
You know what I love about you, Salt-N-Pepa, but I love the fact that you guys have set the bar so high for artists like myself and other artists in the industry, but the transition from being an artist at such a young age, what has been your transition? Is it hard for you to break away from music and go into another area? Being a legend, is it keeping you stagnated in this industry? Or is it possible to set your eyes on something else and not want to be a part? Or, I mean, you're going to always represent, but do you understand what I'm asking you? Is there ever a clause in your transition? Do you ever feel like I want to move somewhere else, but I feel like, because I'm a legend, I have to stay here?
Yeah, I think there's always that thought, that you want to do other things. I mean, there's so much more to us than what we do. What we do is great, but we're artists, so we are able to do a bunch of things, and to be able to be free to do that stuff is really important to me. So my transition, I left the group for like 10 years for that reason. Like, I felt like I wanted to do other things. But like you said, the legacy is the legacy. And it's really the people that pull you in. They keep reminding you how important you are to them, how you changed their life, like how you got them through college, or you got them out of an abusive relationship. So the more I hear that, the more I just embrace it, and just like, this was meant to be. Like I always say in the Bible, it's salt and light, salt of the earth. I'm like, God named me, and this is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah.
'Cause I'd love to walk into a vegan or a meatless restaurant that says salt on it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm watching this transition and I love it, being that I'm going to be on the other side cooking oxtails.
It's Cafe Mocha on the line. From Salt-N-Pepa. The 35th anniversary of the Black's Magic album is happening right now. And Salt, you all were the first female rap group to win a Grammy and go platinum. Can we go back and talk about that pressure to keep performing at that level?
I'm not sure if I really am. I know there was pressure, but I'm not sure if I was completely aware of the pressure, because I was really, really busy just doing what I love, creating. Like I love the stage, but I'm also a behind the scenes person. So I'm editing videos, I'm putting concepts together, I'm making music in the studio and just enjoying it. So I don't think I really thought about the pressure to just keep making hits. It was just, Salt-N-Pepa have an unusual story. Like, we don't have a story where we were trying, that we were shopping music, and it just happened. It was like a train ride to success, from Hot, Cool, and Vicious all the way through. So yeah, I don't give myself that type of pressure. Like, I just stay authentic to who I am at any given moment.
Yeah, and talking about being authentic and staying true to who you are, what I love about you in this 3 decades that I've been rocking with Salt-N-Pepa, you were kind of like the first female in hip hop to really talk about God, and to really, because saying that you were a Christian and a rapper and talking about God and your music just wasn't something hip hoppers did. We, especially from my generation, we came off hardcore. Your relationship with God, and you're very private. What made you go public?
What made me go public? My relationship with God has always been important to me. And even though I was making gospel music, I always just wanted to spread the gospel in my music. So I would always put in sprinkles, here and there, because I was raised in the church, and I know how much Christ has changed my life, and so I've always wanted to just be able to share that without beating people over the head with the Bible, but just letting them know where I'm coming from. And so that opportunity really came with Stomp. I was asking Kirk Franklin to be on a song, and he asked me to be on a song, which I had no idea that song would be like. I think it's the top selling gospel song of all time. The first song that went into the clubs beside what was
Right, yeah.
beside that song. So that was super surprising to me, but it was a great opportunity to just let people know that I love Jesus and I ain't ashamed.
That's it. And also, on that Blacks album, one of the top songs was Let's Talk About Sex. Yeah, you see how I go from God to sex. But
Yeah.
it was
God made
important.
sex. It's all good. God made
That's right. Because that was an important song at that time because we weren't talking about it properly. We weren't talking about protections. Did you feel a responsibility or of being able to, how did that song come about that it became so pivotal? And were you surprised that that was like one of the top songs from the album?
Yeah, so I wasn't surprised. We kind of challenged the radio in the beginning because we knew it was going to be an issue, like dared them, like psyched them out a little bit. I dared them to play this on the radio. And Salt-N-Pepa, we've always felt somewhat of a responsibility because, you're on stage and you see a lot of young people in your audience. So it's always in the back of your mind to be able to impart some wisdom or something. So the song was really focused on the fact that we don't talk about sex, right? And there's so many things that happen because we're not communicating with our children, with the youth about sex. So it was to promote responsibility. And what really was interesting is that it just got picked up as like for courses in college and for youth groups and all these different things. And one day, Peter Jennings,
wow,
rest in peace, called us and asked us to change the lyrics because his daughter was listening to the song. He didn't like that she was listening to the song. She explained the song to him, and he was like, oh, we need to do a PSA. So that was around the time when HIV and AIDS, there was so much misinformation about how you get it, how it gets spread. And so he asked us to change the lyrics, and so I changed the lyrics to this Let's Talk About AIDS PSA.
Oh.
And so it's gone down in history as just one of those songs that's on college curriculums and all that good stuff. But yeah, we're just always glad to use the platform to spread information,
And for people who weren't around then, Peter Jennings was like the big news guy. He was like NBC, I don't know, but he was like the big news guy.
Yeah, he was huge. We were shocked. We were like, oh, okay. When you make music, sometimes you don't know where it's going to go. It just kind of takes on a life of its own. And that song was one of those songs that really, really solidified Salt-N-Pepa, musically.
And, back then, we're talking about the late 80s, early 90s, crossover rap was not a thing. I don't know when MC Hammer came out, but, he was a crossover rap artist, but black stations didn't even want to play rap music. So, and nowadays, hip hop is just integrated into pretty much everything. What do you think about that transition from it being a nighttime, something that you played, the black stations played at night, to, being top on the pop charts and being infused into, culture overall?
Yeah, that was kind of rough for us because we were crossover and we were pop, and that wasn't our goal. We were just making music that was authentic to us. But we did get a lot of flack of, we heard the word sellout and all these different things, but that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I was not really studying them, you know what I mean? I was just doing what was authentic to me. But yeah, now Pep used to say, pop means popular. Like, what's the problem? Doesn't everybody want to be popular? Doesn't everybody want to have international success? Doesn't everyone want to be multi-platinum, win Grammys and all of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it finally crossed over where it's not put in this street category or this category. If it's good music, it's good music. And we just was focused on making good music.
Salt-N-Pepa celebrating 35 years since the release of their album, Black's Magic. More coming up on Café Mocha.
We're at Café Mocha Radio. Socially savvy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Serving up more Café Mocha on the way. Standing in solidarity from a woman's perspective. It's Café Mocha.
It's Café Mocha on the line. We're talking of Salt-N-Pepa. Go ahead, Yo-Yo.
So now what do we have going on with Salt-N-Pepa? How many years total?
How many years total? Hot, Cool, and Vicious came out, I want to say, I'm just going to round it up, like 40 years maybe at this point.
40 years of hip-hop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know, time goes by so fast, right? It's like insane. Yeah, I used to think 10 years was a long time. 10 years is a blink of an eye.
I know, and for people who've been watching you for 40 years, just entertain them. Tell the world, what else does Salt-N-Pepa do in her spare time when you're not doing anything, you're not on the road, you're at home with your family? What is a chill day for you?
Oh, a chill day for me. Like right now, I'm in Laguna at this beautiful resort looking at the ocean. And I was going home today because it was my birthday weekend. The girls all left, and I'm like, okay, I need some me time. So me time is good for me. Having lunch, sitting by the water, reading. I like to read. I like to write. I'm getting into writing again. I'm actually working on some music that I'm very, very excited about. So being creative, even if it's not work, it's still something that I enjoy. And I'm back in the gym feeling good. And I see you, Yo-Yo, on your page doing your workouts. And you're cooking. I'm cooking, too. I've gotten to some cooking stuff.
I know. Tell us a little bit about your journey with healthy meals and meatless dishes.
So my daughter is a vegan. I'm not all the way vegan. I'm 80-20. Give me time, guys. I'm working my way there. But I enjoy vegan meals because she's been introducing me to all these different restaurants. But she had like a series of like ailments. When she was little, she had gastrointestinal issues. She had eczema. I could go on and on. PCOS, like there's like polyps on her uterus, and she was just suffering a lot. And she realized it was because of her diet, and that with meat, it makes her body acidic. And so she really healed herself through food, which I thought was fascinating. So I started cooking meals for her. And I just found that I enjoy it because you kind of got to be creative when there's no meat. You got to make the food taste good. You got to really put your foot in it, you know. So I always cooked for my family, but this became like a hobby for me that I ended up just putting on IG and just sharing with people. So I'm very much at this stage of my life into health and wellness on a whole nother level because of all the toxins that they put in our food and all the ingredients and all the things that we're not aware of. So it's become recently real important to me to like spread that information because so many things we can heal just by what we eat. And it's when she was a kid, actually, when she was having those gastro issues, sorry, I was taking her to all these doctors and I was like, they don't know what's wrong with her. They're not going to figure it out. I'm sending in stool samples and all kind of craziness. So I went online and looked up a remedy, and I started giving her honey and apple cider vinegar, a spoonful every morning before she went to school. Cleared up her gas issues. So I'm like, wow, we really can heal ourselves through food. Takes a lot of discipline, though.
Mm-hmm. And she makes some good dishes on her Instagram. Please tell our listeners what's your Instagram so they can go see you making some delicious food.
DA Only Salt on IG. Duh, Only Salt.
My girl, Salt-N-Pepa, 35 years. Alani, come on, I know you had the hairstyles. I know Detroit was rocking it.
You know that was my first concert.
What up, though?
Still wear it.
I love it, Salt. I love it. What up, though?
We love you, Salt. We love you. We love Salt-N-Pepa. And thank you so much for taking time. Congratulations on 35 wonderful 40 years of wonderful music and more beyond.
And sisterhood, yes.
And that
Yeah.
Geico commercial.
Oh, all the
Okay.
commercials. They be using Salt-N-Pepa music
I know that's right.
like crazy. We're at like 900 million streams. I just saw that the other day. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But before I go, and thank you for having me, I love you ladies. I have a book called Mental Health Matters. It's not my book. It's shout out to Millionaire Williams, who's actually the author. But there's 22 women talking about their mental health matters and their personal stories. And you can get that on Amazon. So go cop that.
We love you.
Thank you.
Love you guys too. Thank you for having me.
Happy belated birthday, Cheryl.
Thank you. Turn up, turn up. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye. Viola Davis has a new movie on Amazon Prime Video. We're talking about it.
Here's your dose of espresso. Strong, hot news now.
This is the Espresso. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is still giving D.C. the business.
They are lighting the Social Security on fire, Medicaid on fire, Medicare on fire, 401ks on fire, Department of Education on fire, and instead what we need to light on fire are Trump's tariffs.
The National Park Service is trying to rewrite history.
Over the weekend, it was noticed that the page no longer features Tubman's image or her powerful quotes. Additionally, references to enslaved individuals and the 1850 Fugitive Slave Act have been scrubbed.
After tons of pressure, they returned Harriet Tubman to her rightful place in history. And Viola Davis stars in G20.
I'm at the point in my life where I'm not putting any limitations on myself. All those experiences I had going into the movie theater, seeing a hero, jumping off the plane, I said, why not me?
G20 currently streaming on Amazon Prime Video. That's the Espresso.
This is Café Mocha. Radio from a woman's perspective.
It's Café Mocha, radio from a woman's perspective. 15 years of Café Mocha, ladies. Lonnie, I know you always have stuff on your mind. What is it today?
Yeah, I was looking at an interview that Viola Davis did, and I want to get your ladies' opinion on it. It was a new interview with the Times, and she opened up about working on, the Netflix film Ma Rainey's Black Bottom with Chadwick Boseman. She said she noticed that there was some meditative music playing for him, and that his makeup artist and girlfriend would rub his back on set. And she admitted that she was judgmental about it. And none of the cast knew at the time that Chadwick was suffering from colon cancer. And of course, we all know he later passed in August of 2020. She said that there was a part of me that was a little judgmental. Why do you need all that? She said, little did I know that they were doing it because he was dying. So, this, I think, again, goes to the fact that we, tend to judge what other people are doing or going through. And it kind of goes to that old adage of, you don't know what somebody else is going through.
That's right. That's right.
And what I appreciate is that Viola, being the person that she is, she admitted it. She, said, hey, it was a life lesson. And I think this is a life lesson that all of us can learn. Because you remember when Chadwick had made that one announcement on video where he was really, really thin. And of course, people didn't know that he was sick. They were making assumptions about drug use or he, had something else or whatever. And it made everybody kind of go, oh, my goodness, we need to stop judging people and let people live their lives. What do you think, Yo-Yo?
I honestly agree. I mean, and it comes with maturity too, because once you see something like that, mine came when I told my friend, he made a joke about me and I said, your mama, and he looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, my mom is gone. I stopped from that day forward, leaning on people. I try to have more understanding, which is a real good thing because, like she said, you never know what someone else is going through.
Want a little more of our flavor? Stay right there. It's Café Mocha.
In this day and age, a little sympathy, a little understanding goes a long way. But like you said, coming out and acknowledging that's that level that we're trying to, we talk about leveling up. You get it, you understand, it's good.
Right. And it's something that we all, You can admit something and you can say, wow, I didn't know. I just thought he was being a diva. It's like, you on a movie set, you're like, why they rubbing his back? Why? You need all of that. But, and in a way, it's kind of like, well, nobody knew.
Right.
And in today's time, we really have to be careful of what we say, Angie?
Yes. I would like to move on and happen to mention that G20, her new action movie is it's on Prime Video, April 10th. It is really good. I went to the press screening and it's a press screening.
Mm-hmm.
So when press people come to shows, they don't applaud, they don't whoop, 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 they don't get teary-eyed. That whole audience was screaming and clapping because Viola plays the president.
Wow.
And she's with her family. Husband is Anthony Anderson. Daughter is the cute little girl from Blackish, who's now all grown up. And they get into a situation where Viola is kind of kidnapped along with all of the world leaders, and she has to free everybody. And it is just badass. It's so great to see, number one, an older woman being allowed to be badass. Or even, you look at Liam Neeson and they've let his old butt do all this action stuff. Harrison Ford. Yeah, but you don't see a lot of older women doing it.
And she looks good too.
And she's doing it in a dress. She had those sparkly sneakers just like you have, Lonnie, only hers were red.
That's how I know. I love me some Viola, and we love that she's doing these great interviews. So make sure you check her out on the new movie, G20. This is Café Mocha.
We have to thank Salt of Salt-N-Pepa for joining us on Café Mocha. If you want to hear the full interview, check out the podcast at mochapodcastnetwork.com, mochapodcastnetwork.com. I'm Angelique, along with Lonnie Love and Yo-Yo. Until next time, you can find us on all platforms at Café Mocha Radio. Café Mocha is a production of Miles Ahead Broadcasting in partnership with Super Radio. Executive producer Sheila Eldridge. For comments, booking, or more information, visit cafemocharadio.com.